Season 17 prospect here, round 7 here at Silverstone. I am Bryn and I am joined by Dane. Hello Dane.
Hello, Bryn. How you doing today?
Good you, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. I'm excited for another race. Of course, round 7 in One Hub season 17. Season's nearly over. Of course, you've only really been here. This is your second race, but yeah, it's been a very long season for these drivers. But it must have felt like it was going very quickly.
It has, it's felt like it's been going very quickly, but well, up until now, Baku was a dreadful for prospects. The amount of safety cars they had, of course it was good action for everybody else, but I'm sure the drivers were not feeling happy with them.
Yeah, of course, there was a lot of DNFs in Azerbaijan. A lot of drivers making mistakes and some incidents. Not many seen in the seals result office though. But last time out, we did see a Soti pair. He took his third win in a row this season. Third win in a row, so he's been really having a dominant second half of the season, only extending his championship lead to 33 points. So even if he DNFs here, he'll still be safe at the top. He's been having a very good run of form, and can anyone really stop him?
No, it looks like nobody can, but of course it's going to be very interesting to see what happens tonight. Anyway, I'm just going to quickly go on to the drivers' press conference. Gazerman was called into the press conference and he was asked this question. You've had every position inside the top 6 so far this season, except a win. Will we ever see you on the top step of the podium again, or are your best days behind you? Of course, he replied with, I have to agree and say my best days are behind me, but I am picking on form, and just need Salty to lose a race to have any chance. Race for fun, and results is a bonus. So, obviously, he does feel that his best days are behind him, but he shows that he's basically showing that without Salty, he could maybe get that win. But it'll certainly be interesting to see.
Yeah, Gazzaman, I wouldn't say his best days are behind him. Of course, was a teammate with him back in those days of season 12. Yeah, we won the constructors. We won the constructors together in the Red Bull. But Gazzaman, he's got 2 podiums this season, so he has been having a very strong season, 4th in the standings. It's just Sotipa has just been another force. He's just looking very unbeatable at the moment.
Yes, he has got that next level pace, but his pace. Sorry, I messed that up. I was going to try and do some sort of Linus Tech Tips roll on, but I want to mention our first sponsor tonight, which is Next Level Racing.
Yeah, of course, Next Level Racing is our primary sponsor here at One Hub Racing. Of course, they supply sim racing equipment such as seats and rigs. So do check them out. And of course, they do help us supply our rewards for season 17. So we do thank them for that. And check them out because they really do have some high quality gear.
They really do. Because I am currently sat in my Next Level Racing seat, and it is very comfortable, I will say the least. But hopefully soon we should be getting underway, because we've got 13 out of the, I think it's 17 drivers tonight, as another driver has pulled out because of their PSN Plus. PS Plus has actually ran out, but 17 drivers is still a decent amount. Only 5 drivers will be going without points tonight. So, of course, that gap for people is getting smaller. So, more likely that that might be points on the board for most people. But of course, only 13 drivers right now. It's certainly meaning that there's going to be everybody except one person with points. So, very interesting.
Yeah, of course, this new point system One Hub has introduced has given a lot more drivers a bigger chance to actually get some points on the board and move them up the grid, because the gap between first place and last and 12th position, whereas now the new final place to get a point, has of course decreased. So the championship battle would hopefully be a lot closer, and I think that has worked because a lot of drivers who usually wouldn't get points has actually picked up some points this season. So it has gone well, but of course, here at round 7, we are racing at the British Grand Prix. Of course, this track length 5.8 kilometers, 3.6 miles long, 18 turns, 26 laps, and 2 DRS zones. So of course, the corner cutting rules will be set onto strict, and we do have that famous one hub mandatory 2-stop rule. How do you feel about Britain?
It's certainly going to be interesting. Britain is naturally a very easy one-stop soft to medium or medium soft. Whether you're outside the top 10, you might want to do that alt strat, which is, as we've seen from Jarno Opmeer, is very powerful. But of course, that 2-stop makes it a more unequal playing field, because everybody has to do that mandatory 2-stop, meaning the racing could be slightly closer. I mean, we could see drivers it'll most likely be a soft medium soft strategy, or a soft soft medium, however the drivers want to do it. But I think it's a good idea, and it's great. It helps improve the racing. As I'm just going to go onto the YouTube chat quickly. Gaza has put expecting 17, and how are you both? I'm good. Dane?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. I'm excited to see a potential Gaza man win, maybe.
Yeah, could we see that Red Bull on the top step of the podium? We've seen it in real life at the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. Could it happen? Well, tonight. It will certainly be.
Sorry about that. Of course, we did have the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. We had 2 Grand Prix here in real life, and we had 15. And back in one hub history, we had 15 races out here. So this is definitely one of the more popular tracks when it comes to one hub racing. We have a pit stop loss of about 25.5 seconds though, so you do lose a lot of time in the pit lane. I believe when you round up to the normal 2-stop, you lose almost a minute, so it'll definitely be interesting to see how these drivers will handle their strategy. Of course, the softs only lasting 13 laps, the C2 mediums lasting 19 laps, and those C1 hards lasting 25 laps. So with a bit of tyre saving, they could go from lap 1 to the end. So but it's really interesting to see what drivers will be what driver strategies will be going for here. Of course, how's your history been with Silverstone in your league racing career, Bryn?
Very up and down in mine. I've had my good races, and I've had my bad. So, of course, I've actually done that before. I have taken the hards from lap 1 to the end. It does get quite a push, but you can do it. You just got to be very careful. But there's also problems with the hard tyres when you first come out of them. Cops is not very fun, that's all I'm going to say. Because you know how normally Cops is a flat out corner in these 2020 spec cars? It's not with the hards. The rear grip is just not there. So you have to be very steady going through there. So I don't think we'll see any drivers using the hards anyway, because if they do have damage on lap 1 and do pit in, they'll most likely go into the mediums and then go back onto the softs. So certainly be interesting.
Yeah, I might play a bit of devil's advocate there with what you said there, because a couple of seasons ago, I think this was season 15 back on F1 2019, so it was an older game, so maybe the meta may have been different. But when I raced here around Silverstone, I picked up a bit of damage, and I pitted on I did the 2 stops going onto softs and then onto hard tyres from lap 3 to the end, and I somehow managed to win that race. Of course, the very dominant Jarno at the time. Of course, he didn't really fight it that much on the last lap, but it is possible to take the hards to the end and still keep a shred of pace, because of course the hards, they just don't die, do they? They are a big grip, but they do lack quite a bit of grip, and Cops, as he says, will be a bit difficult, but they do have that durability on their side.
Oh yeah, they really do, because the fact of, you find with the hards, well, especially in my opinion with my driving style, is that the hards actually get quicker when they get above 40-50%, because once in a race around here, my tyres run 65%, but I was going 0.2 quicker each lap, so it's certainly, though they have got that durability, it's not till the end you actually find the pace out of them, so you might as well just sit and wait on them rather than actually trying to make moves early on.
Yeah, agreed. You do have to play a bit, you do have to use your head a bit when you do try go for them durable strats, especially in the hards, because you just have to be a lot smarter with them and make sure that you time your moves perfectly, so you're not putting too much wear on the hards, because when you run the hards, you have to know you're playing for the end game here. You're not going to make any immediate moves, but bringing it back to media day, we do have our hot and cold drivers. As I mentioned before, Salty Bear, three straight wins mentioned, as I said before. And for the final 4 races of the season, definitely will be a miracle for his rivals to catch him up. He's just been flying. And our cold driver, Truth NRP, of course, at the start of the season, we had 3 straight podiums and 1 win. But in these last 3 races, his best finish was 4th and his average finish was 6th. So he's really just dropped form from what he was at the start of the season. I thought he could have been a championship contender, but he just seemed to not have had that consistency over the season.
Yeah, sorry.
But hopefully, I think it might be over for him in the championship race. Of course, he was overtaken by Liam, but hopefully he'll at least have a strong end to this season.
Yeah, as we are now going into qualifying. So 16 drivers. We are missing a driver, but hopefully still create good racing, because who knows, the field might be that close that we won't end up having any gaps. We could see one problem though that doesn't happen around this track, which is good for us. There's not really like a big DRS train problem around here, because it's such a high downforce track. Is that once you're staying in the dirty area of the car behind, the gaps will form because you lose so much downforce being sat behind somebody that it is actually better to be further away, if you get me.
Yeah, I understand what you mean completely, because at this track, there's just a lot of mid-speed corners and high-speed corners that, of course, if you are stuck behind that dirty air, it would definitely be a challenge to be able to keep up in the 1 second mark with these cars. But with those 2 very long DRS straights of Wellington Straight and the Hangar Straight, I still think there'll be quite a few trains, but it definitely will be a bit more challenging for these drivers.
Yes, as I come bearing good news. It's not going to be a complete dry race and dry qualifying.
It's good. That's good for you. You won't nearly miss your race as you did last week, then, innit?
I'm not going to count anything out right now.
Of course, there is still that chance of safety cars, but a Salty Bear is out first, I believe that was. So he's going to be warming up his soft tires for a lap. It doesn't seem he's going to go for that strategy that a lot of these drivers have gone for the season and start on the mediums for the start of their qualifying lap so they can have a fresh pair of softs towards the end. He's going to go straight for it.
He very much is. So obviously that is giving me a kind of an idea that he may have picked the softer tyre strategy. So having the weekend tyre allocation selected the softer option. So interesting, because you got the likes of Liam and Daddy Spritz, who are currently on the medium tyres, whereas everybody else is on the soft. So it could be interesting. What strategy is Liam doing compared to Salty Bear? Could he be doing the alternate strat? So could be interesting to see.
Yeah, of course, we do have a new driver in the Red Bull team, Daddy Spritz R6. Unfortunately, Zach, dropped out this season. But we do have hopefully Daddy Spritz can help Gazzaman get some good points for Red Bull for the final stage of the season. But going on board for a lap with a Salty Bear, he's across the start finish straight. We're going to go through the first corner, which is Abbey. This is an easy flat out. He holds in 8th gear and then through turn 2, through to farm where he breaks at the 100-meter board just after it, hits the apex and then goes, you have to drag out a bit wide just so you can get that extra turn in for the exit, because you definitely need to have a very good exit here. Going on to the first DRS straight, which is the Wellington straight. You want to keep it to the right. And then next up we do have Brooklands, where you just break just before the 50-meter board down to 4th gear. You have a Salty Bear, he's going to go down into 2nd gear to get that extra rotation, then short shifting up into 3rd gear, and this is a very good lap at the moment, going through Woodcut, and then through the famous Corpse, which has caught so many drivers out because they sometimes lack the traction, and even other times they go too wide and exceed track limits, but he's taking that very nicely. Then through Maggots and Beckett's, you want to take Maggots flat out, and then through Beckett's, you want to just lift off down into 7th gear, and then through Chapel down to 5th gear. And this has been a very good lap. He's gone purple, but that's to be expected. He is the first driver to be setting a lap time, and of course I do think he is the fastest driver in this tier. And then through Stowe, you want to brake just before the curb starts, and he takes that very nicely. He doesn't go too wide through the final section of the track, brakes at the 100-meter board, and through the right-hander through to club, get under traction as early as possible, and across the line he goes to set a 1 minute 25.1.
Very much so. As next over the line will be Kingen. What time can they set? A 27.0. But then Liam over on the mediums, a 26.0. So 9/10 between a Salty Bear and Liam. But of course, Liam being on that medium tyre, he's going to have a slight advantage there. Starting on the harder compound, meaning he'll be able to use the softs later on in the Grand Prix. But Astronauti now 3rd place with a 26.0. KJW in 6th, as we do see APX Rogue with a 25.4 and Adam with a 25.7.
They both get out of the way very nicely for the, sorry to interrupt you there, for the, say, the other Mercedes driver of Storm. He just put his car up into P7.
Good lap from the Mercedes drivers so far, but this is going to move me on to the team's press conference. So of course, both Mercedes and Alfa Romeo have been called up. So the question that Mercedes were asked was, you're leading 3 of the 4 tiers, yet not a single one of your drivers brought home a victory last week. What are your plans to bring home the Constructors' Championships in the last 4 races? Mercedes replied with, we would like to win races for sure, but with our good position, we don't really need to. For instance, we lead the Podium Drivers' Championship with no wins. For our drivers, what we would like to see is the continued consistency. If we do this, we will bag some winnings, we think. But next, also brought up to the team's press conference was Alfa Romeo. You've been at the bottom half in all tiers. You've got no driver got a top 7 result last week. Is it time to move on from this set of drivers? Or, oh, sorry to break this, as Jacko has gone into the wall, has got wing damage as well, lost it going through farm. As Alex Lilliard goes and sets a 126.521. But yes, anyway, back to Alfa Romeo. Top 7 result last week. Is it time to move on from this set of drivers, or are we just expecting too much from a team with such a historic name? The reply was that this has been a disappointing season. After a decent season previous, we had issues with finding a good balance around Baku circuit, but with this standing, we expected a better result. The drivers should be aware they're on probation at the moment, and we expect better if they want to renew for the next season. So certainly interesting to see.
Yeah, of course. We do have the Mercedes team first of all. This is the tier where where the 1 out of the 4 isn't leading the constructors, and they've not had a very strong season at all. Down in 8th in the constructors, with Alfa Romeo being 9th just behind them, only 2 points behind. But they've not really had the strongest of seasons, but they seem to have been picking back up the form as of late. Of course, we had VSMT Adam. He picked up his best qualifying result last time out in Baku, which I believe was a P5, and now he's in the top 3 and is only 3/10 off APX Rogue, who has been a front runner all season. So Adam has been having a very, very strong start to the second half of the season. Of course, his teammate Storm is just lacking ever so slightly, but he's still in the top 10, so he's been improving as well. And of course, we do have the Alfa Romeo team. I feel like I've been seeing this a lot this season, but Astronauti, he's been up there. Of course, he's top 5 now, and but he's behind Liam on the medium compound, but 3,000s. He's just been up there, but of course, it may be his aggression. Maybe he needs to turn it down a little bit, because he has been very, very aggressive this season. Maybe that's cost him valuable results. And we have his teammate, who was Jacko, who he did pick up points last time out. Picked up 4 points. I moved him up into 14th in the standings, but he's just been quiet this season. He's been near towards the back of the grid, and just hasn't really had luck on his side.
He hasn't, but I am now on board with Liam on his second run, now this time on the softs. He's now coming round onto the Wellington Straight, heading towards Brooklands. Sector 1 looking very good for Liam. Not a Pearl Sector 1, but close. Now heading through Luffield towards Woodcut, getting a good traction through there, going up into 7th gear. Now is going to, 8th, heading towards Cops. A very tricky corner, but flat out in that Alpha Tauri. Now heading to the infamous Beckett's and Chapel. Maggots took Sweetly. Beckett's as well. Now coming into final part of Chapel to round out Sector 2 with DRS wide open. He sets a 34.784, which is actually purple in Sector 2. Now coming through Stowe towards the final few corners, down to 2nd gear, straight back up to 3rd, 4th, round club now onto the Hamilton Straight, and he goes 2nd fastest with a 25.256. Very close.
Yeah, Liam's qualifying game has improved this season. Only a 10th off of Sotiba, and he's been just unbeatable this season when it comes to qualifying, but Liam getting very close. Of course, from the start of the season, he hasn't really been up there in qualifying, and when he took his first win in One Hub was when he qualified in 7th, but Gazzaman goes up into P2 with a 25.2 as well, so it seems these two drivers have just really upped their qualifying game this season as it gets later on. Really good job from these two at the moment.
Certainly, it's very close between the top 3. Of course, all being separated by 1.5 tenths. It's going to be a very tight battle as Daddy Spritz goes with a 26.7, putting himself up into P10. But APX Rogues is now coming around club towards the Hamilton Straight. What can he do? He does a 24.9.
Wow, that was a very, very, very good lap from Rogue to get in, to break into the 24th, the first driver to do so as well, and gives himself a 2/10 gap to Salty Bear. It's a very, very strong lap from Rogue. You can just call him Apex Rogue. I'm pretty sure he doesn't mind.
Anyway, as we are now... Oh, the Haas is round. We have had a spinner.
Seems to have dropped.
Disqualified.
Ooh. Blocking the pit lane.
Right, game. Okay, that makes 100% sense. Thank you, Bugmasters, yet again. Or Codemasters, sorry. Couldn't help myself.
Yeah, well, I'm not really sure that counts as him blocking the pit lane. I'm pretty sure he'll probably... I don't know if he'll go into the chat or something to say what really happened there, but... Yeah, it's very harsh, but I think he did drop it in going into turn 1. And it's just the game really screwed him over with that one. Really big shame for him. He'll be starting at the back of the grid.
It just looked like the car rotated too much as he went into Abbey, and of course, when he went to go and correct himself to go towards Farm, the car dropped underneath him, and well, he went backwards into the wall. But that Haas in real life is known for having a very unstable rear end, so could we be seeing a realistic Haas as Craig Senna does actually invalidate his lap time?
Yeah, Craig Senna, one of the 3 drivers yet to set a lap time. I don't really know what's happened to Craig Senna this season. He was up there along with his teammate as well, and he just seems to have been lacking a bit of the pace. And look at the constructors battle, the McLaren. Wait, what? Has anything happened?
And Alfa Romeo almost lost it. Jacko almost lost it going into Abbey. So that's the 3rd driver to lose, half lose it at least.
Yeah, it seems that first sector is really causing trouble towards these drivers at the moment. But yeah, back onto the constructors battle. Sotipe, he's just been a one-man army at this point, and he's only 17 points off the lead of the constructors, which is of course still held by the Ferrari team. But Salty Bear, one man show, still catching up on them, and has the most wins this season. So we may see a late constructors battle between two of the Ferraris and one of the McLaren drivers.
Very much so. It'll certainly be interesting to see. But Salty Bear now coming to end his Sector 1. He is currently 1.7 tenths up. So, could we see now a Salty Bear going for that pole position? Oh! A Salty Bear's binned it into the wall at the exit of Luffield on the way to Woodcut. Oh dear.
Yeah, he just gone to the throttle a little bit too early and was too late for him to save it, but it was a good job from him to not... Well, it was rather lucky on his side to not have his qualifying session completely ended there. Of course, he can go back to the pit lane and still have another chance to set a hot lap. Of course, a lot of these drivers are into the pit lane as we await the final shootout in the qualifying session. Of course, we'll probably use this time to mention another one of our sponsors. This is a new sponsor, a new collaboration where Unofficial Racing is teaming up with Time to Print 3D, where you can now get a new 3D printed keyring model of the One Hub Racing track. So of course we had last week, we had the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. You can pick yourself up a keyring of that, and we also now this week have the Silverstone Grand Prix keyring, which you can now pick up. And if you use code One Hub, I believe you do get a 20% discount. So it's very nice of them to do that, and another one of our new sponsors.
Oh, as VXI MCFC has spun it on the exit of Luffield, the second driver to now do that, where we were on board with them.
Yeah, I think he just made the same mistake as a Salty Bear, really. Not really much difference in it, just once again getting onto the throttle too early.
Very much so, as when we do get to the point, I'm going to let you do Adam's lap, because I'm going to go on board with Adam for when he does get round to the line onto the Hamilton straight. Most importantly, now coming through Chapel on his out lap. Certainly be interesting to see what lap time he can do. Can he fight for that pole, do you think?
It will be it'll be, to be honest, not to discredit him, but I don't really think pole is on the cards for him, but a top 3, he can definitely hope for that if he can find a wonder lap from nowhere. But of course, rounding out the final sector, he's going to be preparing, loses a little bit of the car as he starts his lap time, but it doesn't seem to have lost him that much time. Going through turn 1 for his final time this qualifying session, he takes it an easy flat out and doesn't be struggling at all, braking just after the 100 meter board down into 3rd gear through farm, drifting about wide through no name or the loop, and onto the first Wellington straight. This seems to have been a very tidy sector for him. He did hit all his marks, all his apexes, so it's been going well so far. Is he up on his lap time? No, he seems to be a 10th down on his lap time, so I guess I was a bit wrong there. He does need to start pushing now as he goes through Luffield. He takes quite a tight line through there, so it may compromise his exit a little bit, but he does prioritise mid-corner speed, which can also help as well. And then through Woodcut and now through Cops. How's he going to take this? He's going to lift off just a tiny bit, and that does leave him a lot more space on the exit, but it's very tidy at the moment. Going through Maggots and Beckett's, the final part of the second sector, down into 7th gear, I mean, through Chapel in 6th gear, and then he opens the DRS. Has he improved? Yes, he has improved. He's now 2 tenths up on his lap time as he's going through the Hanger straight. This is the second longest straight on the track, I believe, and then through Stowe, down into 6th gear, braking just before the curb starts. And he's taking that very nicely. It's a very, very good recovery lap for him, but he does lock up a little bit through Vale. And that does compromise his club a tiny bit, but through the final corner, where can this lap time put him? A 25.3, so he does get up into the top 5, but I believe right behind him was a Daddy Spritz, and he goes up into P9. And I believe Liam I think he just started a lap time actually, so we'll check back onto that later, but we do have Gazman. He is now, yeah, he's now going through Maggots and Beckett's and now through Chapel. I wonder if he's up on his lap time. Yes, he is. He's half a tenth up on his lap time. So at the moment, he is looking to be on the front row, but it doesn't seem to be looking to be challenging pole at the moment. But through Stowe, of course, the final sector is a heavy braking zone, so a lot of time can be gained through here. He goes down into 2nd gear, short shifting up into 3rd very quickly, short shifting up into 4th. He goes a bit wide. But has that compromised him a little bit? 25.1. He has improved, but it's not enough to put him into the top 3. I mean, top into the front row of the grid. Sorry.
As Alex Lilliart now cross the line to finish their qualifying session. But let's go on board with Jess. She is now coming through the final part of the track, coming towards Club now, onto the Hamilton straight. What can she do? She stays P12. But most importantly, Craig Senna is now going to be the next one across the line. Can he improve? Yes, he sets a 25.6, going up to 8th place. Good lap from him, but Liam is now coming into the final few corners, heading towards, coming through Club now, onto the Hamilton straight. Can he improve? Yes, P2. Liam jumps up into P2 with a 25.0, as a Salty Bear has also backed off.
So, very crazy qualifying session for these drivers at the moment, of course. Salty Bear, I believe this is the first time in maybe this season he's not starting on the front row of the grid, so we've seen a change here at the front of the grid. Of course, Apex Rogue taking pole position, Liam taking second place, so we'll have to see what Salty Bear can do from third on the grid. But he does seem to not be his dominant self in qualifying. Maybe we could see a new winner for the first time in 3 races.
Yes, we could do. It'd be certainly interesting to see. Anyway, that is the qualifying session now over. We are just waiting for a Salty Bears car to be put into the pit lane.
So running for your final short qualification, it is Apex Rock who takes pole position, Liam in second place, Salty Bear in third position. Maybe he'll be a little bit disappointed with that, but he's only a 10th off, so he can't be too sad about it. Gazzaman in fourth position, Astronauty, good qualifying from him, putting it into fifth position. Adam in sixth, Kingdon in seventh, Craig Senna in ninth, TJW in ninth actually, Spirits in 10th. 11th is Liliart, 12th is Storms, 13th is Jess, 14th is Jacko, 15th is MCFC Boy, and 16th, unfortunately disqualified, was Indecisive.
Yes. As we do see the menu now go away, we will now be having a moment of silence for Sir Captain Tom Moore. as we now get underway racing. Rest in peace, legend Sir Captain Tom Moore. Right, as we now get into racing, Liam takes the lead of the Grand Prix going into Village. Apex Rogue now dropping down second with a Soldier Bear right over the back, but a very bunched up midfield right now. Indecisive taking 15th now, upper position off the start. Jacko 14th.
TJW's round and he's out of the race.
TJW.
He's made contact with Daddy Spritz and he just completely been into the. He's just completely uncontrollable into the barrier. Yeah, it's game over for him, and I believe that's a full course caution, isn't it?
It is. It is a virtual safety car. Drivers will have to slow down to 40% pace and be careful of any marshals on track.
Yeah, it's just. I think it was just a miscommunication between the two drivers of Spritz and TJW. It's really unfortunate for TJ, he just couldn't save it going into the barrier, but it was a really strong start for Liam. He's up into P1 already. And Kingan in the Williams drivers up into P5, so it's a really good start from these two certain drivers. But besides from that, it seemed to have been quite a chill start besides from that incident between Spritz and TJW.
Very much so, as we should be able to go back under green flag racing soon. As Liam's got to drive through the penalty.
And just as I compliment this really good start, he's just thrown away his win. He's thrown away his win, to be honest. It's really unfortunate for him, but now it's effectively the leader is Apex Rogue now in this race, and
Salty is net P2.
Yeah, he's already. I believe he's quite close to the back.
Red Bull of Daddy Spritz is round.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him there. It's really unfortunate for him, as Astronauti and Kingan are going side by side. But it looks like Kingan is able to keep the position, but Astronauti's going to be using his ERS. He's going to try and make a move around the outside. He is an aggressive driver, so I have no doubt in my mind he's going to try back out of it. But Kingan breaks later, and he's able to force Astronauti to stay behind him. But will Astronauti get any kind of run? He's using his overtake, but it seems to be it doesn't seem to be catching up at the moment. Oh, he's going to have a look though, but I think he's just having a look. He's not going to try anything too serious through carts. It would just be suicidal if he did.
It would be, but I'm going to go on board with...
He's going to actually have a try and make a move around the outside of Maggots, but he thinks better of it. Sorry to interrupt you there, but Astronauti is just a very aggressive driver. Can't really take your eye off him.
You cannot. I can agree with that, as he's now using his overtake again to try and get past that Williams driver. Going up the inside. Oh, it's very tight. But he does. Oh, they're holding it side by side round Stowe. But Astronauti does most importantly get that move completed and is up into P5. As Liam now is serving his drive-through penalty. Of course, going to lose quite a few positions from that. Will drop to the back of the pack. But Apex Rogue now leading the Grand Prix with Assaulty Bear second, Gaza third, Astronauti fourth, and Kingan rounding out the top 5. So. Very interesting start to the race, I would say so.
Yeah, definitely. It's just Rogue and the Soti, but I believe these two have had a battle for the win before in previous rounds. So it'd be nice so it's good to see these two have a battle again. But Liam, the pit stop is about 25.5 seconds minimum. So since he did serve a drive-through, I think he did lose around 20 seconds there. So he's got a task on his hands. He's going to be praying for a safety car to actually bring him back into the race here, but. It seems as if though these guys they're quite close to each other, but they're not close enough to be making a move on each other at the moment. Of course, the Dirty is just keeping these guys at arm's length, but the top 3 have just already pulled a gap as Senna picks up a time penalty so early on in the race. That's what strict corner can do for you around this track. It's very, very harsh at times, but yeah, it's already going to cause trouble for the Ferrari driver at the moment, as the top 3 has already pulled a 2.3 second gap to Astronauti. These guys are on fire at the moment, and it's very close. Sorry about that.
Sorry, no, Corey.
No. Yeah, Sotipeg is very close to the back of Rogue, going through Stowe, but wasn't able to make anything of it. As further down the grid, I believe that's Jacko making the move around the outside of Storm to get into the top 10, but Storm's going to try and make a move back around the outside. He's not giving up yet, and it looks like he's made the move successful. Jacko's going to try and make a move, try to get a switch back, but it wasn't close enough.
Was not. This track is a pain for penalties, as you did say. it's very hurtful, because going through Beckett's, if you take too much of that curb, instant warning. If you run slightly ever so much onto, as Salty Bear's going for the move on Apex Rogue, running quite deep, as Apex is now coming back at a Salty Bear, trying to hold it round the outside at Luffield. Can he make the move stick? No, he cannot, but it's very close between the two. Of course, Apex Rogue with 90% battery, so 20% more than a Salty Bear, but Salty Bear goes off track a bit there. But Gazaman is now watching on this battle, hopefully going to pick up from any mistakes that happen. But very close between the drivers, as Apex Road now becoming a victim to the dirty air. Can Gaza go for the move using his overtake button? Apex does have more than Gaza, but can Gaza send it under the brakes? No, he chooses to back out of it, as Salty Bear has almost pulled Apex out of his DRS, as he has, as Craig Senna gets another 3-second time penalty.
Yes, his race is going from bad to worse for him at the moment, as Salty Bear, that's the fastest lap of the race, and is in the lead, in his usual position, has already gained a second, but I think Rogue is beginning to maybe struggle on his tyres a little bit here. He showed this in Brazil, where he just seemed to be making these small mistakes on understeering, which costs him a lot of time compared to his rivals. And it seems to be that that trend hasn't stopped just yet, as he still makes another mistake, and it's already out of this 1 second zone of a Salty Bear, but Gazaman doesn't seem close enough to be able to capitalize on Rogue's mistake at the moment, and seems to be this is going to be the order of the top three for quite a while.
Certainly is, as Astronauti has actually pulled that gap down. Oh, yes, he has put it down to 1.8 seconds now, from being 2.3. So, has Astronauti got that pace to keep up with that top three?
We'll have to see. Of course, these top three, they are battling. Well, the second and third are battling quite hard. Well, they were battling quite hard a couple of laps ago, but now they seem to have spread out. Gazaman almost losing a second to Rogue, so it seems to be that they're going to be running their own races from now out of the DRS train. But look at Rogue. He's definitely charging as Rogue picks up a time penalty, so that's really going to hurt him, as Astronaut is going to go for a very, very, very early undercut here, picking on lap 5. I presume it's going to be for a set of medium compound of tyres. I believe they can go for quite a while into this race, so I wonder what his strategy will be. Maybe it'll be a soft medium medium or soft medium soft. What do you think?
It might most likely going to be a soft medium soft, because if you're pitting this early, you're going to want to keep it soft to the end, as he is going onto the medium compound of tyres. So very interesting going for that undercut. Of course, it can be quite powerful round here, but also not at the same time, because the overcut, with being such a long pit lane, the overcut does work more. So it could be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. So I just want to bring up MCFC boy. He's had a really good start to this race, up 7 positions. I believe he's the most gained position, but he goes a bit wide, but that's not really going to hurt him that much, as he has a 2-second gap to VTSR Storm. But I think the closest battle on track, as I think Rogue may have made another mistake, and everyone's just cutting the corners, as they're all picking up time penalties. Gazaman picks up a time penalty. I think Rogue may have picked up another time penalty. I wasn't too sure there, but Gazaman was 1/10 behind Rogue at one point. I think Rogue may have lost the traction through cops or something, and that allowed Gazaman to get very close at the start of Maggots and Beckett's. But of course, the dirty air kicking in wouldn't allow Gazaman to be able to make anything of it.
As Liam is getting onto the back of his teammate, and has gone for a very good move there on Jess, but squeezing her right out onto the grass. I wonder how Jess will feel about that, being squeezed out onto the grass by her own teammate, as Craig Senna has now come into the pit lane. But
yeah, he's had enough of the softs. I think this is probably an appropriate time for these drivers to start pitting in for some fresh mediums, if you want to make the mediums actually have a good round of laps. But yeah, these drivers, a lot of them seem to opt to stay out, to maybe go to lap 8 or 9.
Certainly, as currently in the top 3, there's only one driver who has not got a penalty, and that's a Salty Bear. So very interesting with Salty Bear, keeping it very clean, unlike Rogue and Gazman, who are both extending them track limits. So certainly interesting to see. But Gazman has caught back up to Rogue a bit there through Cops. Can he catch up through Magnus and Beckett into Chapel? Yes, he has caught up a bit, but can with DRS as MCFC gets a 3-second time penalty. So you are saying that he's had a good start. Well, he's just got a penalty. So
yeah, well, he's up 8 positions now, but that's due to centre pitting, as that is Rogue coming into the pit lane, and Gazzaman seems to follow him, with King follow him as well, but Adam chooses to stay out. So second, third, and fourth opting to pit at the moment. I presume they're going to go for another set of medium tyres, but they really seem to be wanting to get the undercut on a Sotibet perhaps, because the Sotibet is just pulling away at the moment.
yeah, with both drivers going onto the medium tyre, will King and follow. Ooh, an unsafe release from Renault. If that was real life, they would have been fined for that and will be given a penalty. So interesting to see, but the game, of course, with the ghosting physics, you don't have to worry. Craig Senna just got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Has Craig got damage?
Take a look at Taz. It doesn't.
He's going onto the hard tyres. Yes, and he has got damage. He is changing his front wing.
So I wonder what must have happened to him there, because I don't think, because it doesn't really say that he hit anyone. So maybe it may have been a solo mistake and maybe dropped into the wall or something. But he chooses to go onto those hard tyres, which are such an anomaly, because they can be sometimes the best tyre, but they can also be the worst tyre as well. And he's going to be going to the end of the race for sure. Just depends whether he'll definitely be needing another safety car as well.
Certainly, as I'm just going to comment on the driver's tyre wear. Salty Bear is in a much better position than VSMT Adam, as Adam now pits in, but Salty Bear has stayed out for another lap, only having the highest tyre percentage of a 43%. He's looking better than most drivers out on track, so maybe that's why they are staying out.
Yeah, of course, some of these drivers in the top 3, of course, Lilia and Adam are pitting. They have showed that they do have good tyre management, so it didn't surprise me that they opt to stay out and get the very, very most out of their current compound. But a Salty Bear, he opts to stay out another lap, but that's just a Salty Bear doing a Salty Bear thing. He's just gone. I think this might be another win for him tonight. Maybe a bit early to call, but he's looking very unbeatable at the moment.
As I'm just going to comment, Adam is doing a soft medium strategy. He's the only driver to pit onto the soft, I should say. So interesting to see.
Yeah, the soft mediums, it don't really work very well, but that's Storm. He's trying to have a look up the inside of MCFC boy going through. I can't remember what turn that is. I apologize. The long right hander, but he can't really make the most of it.
Now coming through Cops towards Maggots, Beckett and Chapel.
Yeah, MCFC boy is.
Oh, Storm's round! Storm is round!
Looks like he may have replicated a bit of a Kvyat there. I wonder I think he might have just turned a bit too early, got a bit onto the grass a little, and the car just sent him. It's really unfortunate for him, but at least he hasn't picked up any damage from it. The most he's going to get is just a bit of burnt medium tyres.
Yeah. As we now see, Salty Bear is finally pitting in off of them soft tyres onto the mediums, taking them for 9 laps. Could we see him staying on the mediums and for not that long? Because it's now lap 10. Could we see them coming in on lap 17, lap 18, trying to make them tyres work, as he has come out in front of Indecisive?
Yeah, he's made that overcut work, an absolute treat. I believe he's even pulled further away from Rogue and Gazzaman. So, really good strategy call from a Salty Bear. And I think, well, he's proven it. The softs can go 10 laps, so I think he's going to have the minimal stint on the medium compound and take those softs to the end. I think maybe around lap 17, lap 18.
Yeah, we could see the drivers pitting for the softs and hopefully take them to the end. So of course he's going to be the driver that's going to spend the least time on them medium tyres. So could we see the medium runners come in soon, react to this, and get onto the soft tyres to do a soft strategy?
Yeah, I think that's the only real strategy they can go for, unless even at this point they can probably make that work now. But we have Apex Rogue, he's catching up to the back of Indecisive. He's going to make an easy move around the outside, but can Gazzaman follow him? This might be a bit important.
Gazzaman is following through.
Now Gazzaman, he's showing a bit of his aggressive side there. I like it. He's Indecisive, he doesn't really fight. Of course, these two drivers are running very different races at the moment. Of course, Indecisive still yet to pit. But yeah, very important move as MCFC boy pits. But yeah, very important move from Gazzaman to make sure he doesn't fall too far back from Apex Rogue.
Interestingly enough, MCFC is doing medium. So that's interesting to see.
That's just not going to work at all.
That's going to cost time.
Yeah, I think the only real way you can... The optimal strategy, bare minimum, is to use two soft tyres. And it's interesting, is Astronaut is going to try to make a move down the inside of Indecisive. Indecisive just falling down the grid on those very worn medium compounds. As Astronaut just makes an easy move down the inside into Brooklands.
Very much. I am now on board with Gaza right now, because Gaza is very close to the back of Rogue. So, could see that DRS helping him.
Oh, Liam is round, and he's made contact with MCFC. I don't know what happened there. I only saw the aftermath of it, but I think Liam, I don't know really what happened there to comment. I'll have to see that later on in the steward's office if that gets reported. Further down the grid, I think we are now beginning to see some gaps form. I think the closest battle on track is, of course, between second and third, Apex and Gazzaman. 6/10 gap though, so I think Rogue might be beginning to pull away a little bit from Gazzaman. But he does make another mistake going too wide once again, but I wonder if Gazzaman can capitalize on this. He does use his overtake, so maybe he will try to go for something here, but Rogue is using his overtake as well, so he's gonna cover him off. And it looks like he's gonna stay like this, but Gazzaman does set purple sector 1, so that slipstream really helping his lap times there.
Yeah, but he is, like you say, very close to Rogue right now. Could we see Gazzaman put this to use and try and get past him going down the hangar straight any moment after we've been through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel? But will he lose time though? He does. That dirty air costing time through Maggots, Beckett's, and then most importantly the best part, Chapel. Of course, 400ths down now on his lap time.
Yeah, I think of course Maggots and Beckett's is hard enough on its own, even harder with when you have dirty air against you. But do you think maybe because you're so close to a driver and it's such a quick sequence of left right that maybe their vision might be a bit impaired from the car in front, meaning that they can't really follow them through that close because it's really hard to see the next corner.
Yes, as Gaza has lost DRS off of Rogue. But now back into it. Hopefully he does have it, as he does have DRS. But for a second there, he was out of that 1 second gap. As Liam sets the fastest lap of this Grand Prix. 28.483. Liam is on a charge right now.
Yeah, he's just showing that he did have that pace. If only he didn't make that silly mistake earlier on speeding under the VSC, he could have been up there with a Soti Bear, because he is definitely the fastest man on track at the moment.
Literally.
Yeah, I think Gazzaman is. I think he's just under siege to Rogue at the moment. I don't really think he is struggling to get past the Renault driver at the moment. Of course, it's still a good result for him, still in the podium positions. He is having a good run at the moment, but I'm sure he still wants more. He wants to be battling Rogue and even battling Salty Bear, but yeah, it's just not really working for him.
Yeah, sorry. As I'm just gonna say, Adam is catching on them soft tyres right onto the back of Kingen, who is within Astronauti's DRS. Well, now out of it, but them softs working very well for Adam right now. But of course, by using them now, he's going to be losing pace towards the end of this Grand Prix. So it's certainly going to be interesting to see, as he is getting right back close to that Williams. Will he use overtake and DRS now to get past? As no, he uses DRS on that, but it's still not enough to catch up to King N. But certainly, them softs working a lot better than what them mediums are.
Yeah, a couple of rounds ago in the Brazilian Grand Prix, we did see a similar strategy from one of the Renault drivers. I believe that was Alpha, where he tried to take soft mediums instead of the optimal soft medium soft strategy, and it did work for him. Actually, he did pick up a podium that race as King and goes wide. He picks up a time penalty, a warning. I mean, so the soft medium it has worked in the past, but you really do have to be very aggressive and have to force these moves, especially when you need to be going up the field if you want to try to take that risk.
Very much so. Gaza is keeping up with Rogue. They seem to be very matched on pace, but except through this middle sector, as Gaza with that dirty air will be struggling compared to Rogue, but he is definitely keeping there and keeping on his toes. So Rogue is certainly going to be a bit under pressure from this, knowing that Gaza's always there, but Rogue's made a slight mistake going through there.
Oh, and he makes another mistake, losing the traction, struggling to get into the traction. That is a very common thing to do, actually. And Rogue seems to be affected by it, and that has allowed Gazaman to catch up a bit, 3/10, but still not close enough to make a move. Just Rogue, I think he's just a bit eager on the throttle and the braking, and maybe that's what's causing him to make these minor mistakes. But he seems to be rectifying them and is able to hold that gap, that 6/10 gap.
Yes, as we are now on lap 15 out of 26. Salty Bear is got a very comfortable lead, I will say so. But Rogue on my screen just got the disconnect symbol. Whether that was the game being the game, or that was an actual lag spike from Rogue. But Adam is a lot closer to the back of that Williams now. Can he look for a move? No, he just cannot get the exit out of Chapel. Although he is catching quite a lot, he's still just too far back. Kingdom getting a 3-second time penalty, running wide there. As Adam then locks up as well to basically make things worse. Salty now with the 3-second gap and lots of ERS, I will say, is certainly looking in a good position.
Yeah, of course, we're that late into the season where we're now starting to have permutations for some of these drivers for the championship battle. If a Salty Bear wins this and gets the fastest lap, of course, that means Adam, Alex, Rogue and Alpha are eliminated, and Craig must win or finish second, and Gazaman must finish 7th or 8th with fastest lap. So I think Gazaman is going to be safe, and Craig, I think he's going to be out of it as well. I don't really think he's going to be winning this race or getting a podium. But yes, we really are in the end game of this season, and it's just looking ever so closer for Salty Bear. He's already got one hand on the trophy, in my opinion.
He has. With this 3.5 second gap, it looks like he's got it now. But things can always change. There can be late safety cars, as there is a yellow flag in Sector 1. That is Craig. Craig is round. Oh, as MCFC goes straight through him. But that is very bad for Craig. But Adam now is crucially very close to King, and Kingham running wide yet again at the exit of Stowe. You cannot take that line on this game, unlike 2019, where you could run as wide as you wanted.
Yeah, of course, I think this is a bit of a one-off history lesson here. I don't think there's going to be many moves happening here, but I think it was F1 2018 where One Hub used to run regular corner cutting rules, and it was, I believe, this track which caused them to 100% change that to strict for every single track, because then it used to be just for the street tracks, the strict corner cutting rule. But yeah, everyone would used to abuse corners like Stowe and Cops and just go as wide as they like. But nowadays, Codemasters really fixed up their actual strict corner cutting, and you can't abuse these corners anymore. You can't go very wide as you used to anymore.
I will come in and say though it is good having the white line as the max, it's not very realistic, because they need to create a better system, in my opinion, because you notice around most tracks it's actually the edge of the curb, or in some cases like there's no track limits on that corner, as Craig Senna has now retired in the pit lane, so that is the end of his Grand Prix. But of course Gazzaman is right over the back of Rogue right now. We'll see any drivers pitting in soon. We might see Salty, Rogue or Gazza be the first ones to pit in off of them medium compound, as Astronauti is the first person to do this. He was the first person to go onto the mediums, and he's going to be the first person to go back onto the softs. Well, not first person to go back on the softs, because Adam went soft, but he's going to be the first one out of the main ones, on the main soft, medium, soft drivers, to go back onto the softs. Interesting to see now. Very clean release. But Alex Lilliart has lost another position to Liam, as Daddy Spritz gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But Gazzaman is most crucially 5 tenths behind Rogue in that Red Bull.
Yeah, it's just been like this the entire race. Gazzaman, I'm sure, must be... I wonder whether he's either chill with being in third position or is quite frustrated that he's stuck there, because I don't know, Gazzaman, he wants to get the best results possible, but he is quite a conservative driver, so I wonder what is going through his head at the moment, whether he wants to get this second place or not. Of course he would, because that would mean he will shoot up in the championship. But it really just depends on how it takes us. Craig Senna leaves the session, but let's say Liam, he's been on a bit of a comeback drive as well, but now back into the top 6. I do think he has another pit stop left though, so that will cause him to drop down the order. But he's not given up yet, so it's a really good showing from him. So that he can never give up, because yet we could still technically have another safety car.
We could do, as Kingan is now pitted in, so the drivers that still need to pit again are VTSR Storm, Jacko, Alex Lilliart, Adam, Gazza, Rogue and a Salty Bear all still need to pit back in, but Rogue is now coming to lap Jess. This is going to help Rogue out, because though he's going to get that dirty air, he will also get DRS off of Jess.
And is dirty air really affected when it comes to ghost cars? I didn't really know that.
I don't know. I mean, when I've been behind a ghost car before, the car does feel like you do lose downforce, but that might be only because it was 2019. So I don't know if that carried over from, but I don't know. Certainly interesting.
Oh, I just got a bit of a lag spike there from Rogue.
Yeah.
I thought he went a bit wide there. But yeah, he has picked up DRS, and that's definitely helped him. He's now pulling away from Gazzaman. So Jess looks like to be the replacing Renault teammate for Rogue at the moment, giving him a bit of DRS support, protection from the Red Bull driver.
Very much so. You would think it would be the other way round. Jess should be giving Gazza DRS, though Gazza already has it, for example. If Gazza ahead, Jess should have been giving it to him, because, of course, with AlphaTauri being the sister team to Red Bull, not the junior team anymore, the sister team, so they should join forces as Jess goes inside of Gazza.
Yeah, well, you never know. Brothers and sisters, they always fight, so it could always be could always be a bit of rivalry between the two Red Bulls, but yeah, it doesn't seem as if Gazzaman would very much appreciate Rogue getting that extra DRS, as Astronauti sets the fastest lap of the race, so he's put a bit of a statement on can he catch up to the top 6. Of course, Lilia, he's still yet to pit, I believe the top 6 is still yet to pit. So I think Astronauti is looking good for a top 5 result here in Silverstone. So he's having a good drive at the moment. Really want to get himself up the order in the standings.
He really does. As I'm now just going to quickly come on to the driver's tyre wear. Apex Rogue, who's got 3% less tyre wear than Gazzaman's highest tyre percent wear, and VSMT Adam has got 55% on that front left wheel, so we could see, as Gazza now does come in for the undercut. Very interesting.
He's fed up with being behind Apex Rogue. He wants to try and make a strategy call here. We do have 6 laps left, I believe that is, so he wants to try and get the undercut on Apex Rogue. Perhaps that could work, but I think the undercut is quite powerful on this game. Not sure how powerful it is around this circuit specifically, but he really is going for it.
As I'm also going to comment on the fact that Alex Lilliart and Kingen, Jess and Daddy Spritz have all got 6% damage on their front wings, and then MCFC has got 12% damage on their front wing.
I'm not really sure where Jess and Spritz could have gotten the
Oh, it's Astronaut, he just sent it! And Gazzaman from nowhere! Gazza's not going to be happy with that. As Astronaut also gets DRS from it. That was not a good move in my opinion. He sent it well too late then. Gazza was already turning it in. It does not surprise me if Gazza does show up to have damage on his front wing. As he does, Ashnaughty has given Gazza damage.
I didn't really see what happened. I only really saw the aftermath when you mentioned it. Of course, I can't really talk about it because I'm kind of like Astronaut when it comes to making moves like that. We just gotta risk it all as Storm's accident spins. But yeah, it's just Astronaut. He is a very, very aggressive driver, and if that's given that's a man wing damage, then he's definitely gonna be put into the steward's office for that. Astronaut, he just once again with his aggressive driving,
he's giving Gazza lime green damage, which is the worst you can get because it will really hinder you, because it gets so annoying that you're just like, you can replace the wing, but you don't want to make that stuff, so you have to deal with it. But it's so much hell just trying to sort it out. As can Astronauty and as Gazzaman get Rogue? No, they cannot. Rogue is too far ahead. Luckily, Astronauty does not try and repeat what he did on Gazzaman, but Gazzaman is now out of the podium position. Sorry.
Yeah, that's really cost him, because I know for a fact, just looking at the aftermath of it, that's definitely cost him a second. So Gazzaman, without Astronauti making what seemed to have been a very, very audacious move, would have more than likely gotten Rogue, because he's only a second off and lost that much time with that little incident there. He definitely would have gotten it. So that's just going to frustrate Gazzaman even more, as now just going to be losing a time due to that wing damage. Just a really big shame for him.
Yes, as also VTSR Storm, has got yellow damage, 31% on his front wing as well, so certainly interesting there. As Astronauti losing time through Mags and Beckett, but Gazzaman will be struggling with that lime green damage to get through Mags, Beckett and Chapel, as Liam gets a 3-second time penalty. That's going to cost him in his final positions. Of course, 11 seconds behind VSMT Adam. Had a good comeback from being last on the grid to then being now P7. That'd be very good, as now Jacko is being passed by VATSR or Storm, as Astronauti sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix at 27.5.
Yeah, he seems to be having the pace at the late stages of this Grand Prix, still 7/10 behind Astronauti, so it seems as this Rogue. And of course he still hasn't got a penalty out of the top 3, he's just the fastest lap of the race now. But yeah, it seems I think Astronauti may take it.
Jacko has just gone for a move on VTSR Storm, who you can see is missing that end plate. If I look back from Jacko's car, but there is a yellow flag. That is indecisive. Going slow, now being lapped by 10th place.
Yeah, indecisive. He's just been having an abysmal race. 1 minute down. It's really don't really know what went wrong for him this race, but it just seems he's not really had. He's just had no luck at all. I think the gaps are now beginning to spread with the close battle on track is between Storm and Jacko. Storm trying on the offense. He's going to try and make a move around the outside of Jacko, and Jacko leaves him the respect, but Storm goes a bit wide, and that's going to allow Jacko to still remain in P11. But yeah, Storm just needs to get his braking sorted because I think he could have had that there, but the battle still rages on for the battle for P11.
Yes, very much so. But gaps are already starting to form, apart from, like, say, 11th and 12th, being within 5/10 of each other, as Liam sets the fastest lap for 26.8. Very fast from Liam. Giving it its all now.
Yeah, I think the best he can get is a point at this, because yeah, he's 10 seconds behind the 6th place of SMT Adam. He was running a very good race. Yeah, I don't think Liam is really gonna be able to catch up 10 seconds in just 3 laps.
As we are now on lap 24 out of 26. Salty Bear is 1.5 seconds up on his fastest lap time, but has used up the maximum 33 seconds a lap of full battery power, so very interesting as he now comes into final corners to round up lap 24 and go on to lap 25, the penultimate lap of the British Grand Prix, and does not set the fastest lap of the session. Oh, it does. Oh yeah, he does. A 26.6. Great lap from a Salty Bear.
Yeah, just 2 more laps to go at this point. It's just textbook Salty Bear win for the prospect here. Another 4th one in a row. That is, I genuinely do think he's gonna probably take every single race win for the rest of the season here. The championship is as good as his at this point.
Like you say, he has got that one hand on the trophy. He just needs to get that other now.
And I've noticed now that the Ferrari driver Craig Senna is out of the race, and I don't think Truth hasn't participated, so that means he's also going to take the lead in the constructors battle as well. So looks like Salty Bear single-handedly is going to take home the double here in the prospect here. So he's just been having an astounding season, and I do think he's probably gonna at the end of the season end up maybe in the precision tier, because he's just been really good this season.
Yes, very much so. As we do see, nobody is within each other's DRS. No battles going on track right now.
It looks like we're gonna have a quiet. Sorry about that one.
Sorry. Yeah, we are gonna have a quiet final lap, as I'm just gonna go on board with a Salty Bear for the final lap of this Grand Prix and watch him lead the rest of this race, as we have got this final lap and 1 lap only. Using overtake up, could he be going for a final lap, fastest lap, being 2/10 down in sector 1, taking a very clean line through Brooklands and Luffield, heading towards Woodcut now. Now onto the National Straight, pulling it very tight, trying to minimise the run. Coming through Cops now, very fast through there, using overtake button, coming to Maggots, Beckett's now, and then Chapel. As I Salty Bear does get a 3-second time penalty, but that won't affect him, as Apex Rogue has got a time penalty. Astronauty does seem to be net P2 right now, so looking very good. As a Salty Bear now coming into the final corner, will win the British Grand Prix for McLaren. Apex Rogue coming home P2 on track, but will be P3 after penalties. Gazzaman P4. Kingen will take P5. VSMT Adam P6. Oh no, P5, sorry. Kingen had more penalties than Adam, so Adam takes P5. Liam comes across the line to take P7. Alex Lilliart is now coming to take 8th place. The Hash driver now coming across the line. Then we have Daddy Spritz, if I'm right, in their debut, finishing in the points. So very good from them. Coming across to take P10. MCFC now coming along P10. Jacko P11. VTSR Storm taking... Oh no! Coming P10 actually. As Jess now coming down the hanger straight towards Stowe. Going to be the last person to come across the line. Will take the final... Well, will be the final driver across the line and will not take the final points position. Finishing out the points by 1 position sadly. But finishes in P13.
Yeah, it's just more woeful just this season. She just wants to get that point this season and match what she did a couple seasons ago and get 2 points. But yeah, it's just so close, but yet so far once again.
So, most importantly, who is your driver of the day, and what is your question for your driver of the day as well? Sorry.
My driver of the day will probably have to give it. I'll probably have to give it to Kingen. Yeah, my question to him will be: you've had a very quiet season in the midfield. How do you feel now that you actually have the pace to get top 5 finishes? Very scruffy. I'm going to re-say that. Yeah, you've been in the midfield all season long, but now that you're actually battling for the top 5, where do you really think you can start battling for podiums towards the final stint of the season?
That's a very good answer. My driver of the day, I'm going to give it to... I know I shouldn't because of them leading most of the race, but I'm going to give it to a Salty Bear. An absolutely stellar drive to keep the other drivers out of his DRS and just pull a gap. My question to him is, how did you feel going into this race to then take the win, making it, is it his 4th win? Is it?
Yeah, it's 4th win in a row.
4th win in a row now. How do you feel? How does it make you feel most importantly? That's my question.
That's a good question. And before, of course, we round out the stream, it was a very good race from these drivers. Got a bit quiet at the end of the race, but yeah, before you round out the stream, Bryn, I'd like to give another mention to 2 more of our sponsors. Of course, we do have Vespertin, an apparel brand who does help supply us with our rewards for season 17, and of course help supply us with the trophies that will be handed out to the top 3 drivers of each tier and the constructors champions. And also a huge shout out to Liam13. And we thank him for also supplying us this season with our rewards for season 17, and we thank him for helping continue to sponsor the league. And we also have to give a shout out to all of our race premium drivers. We all thank you at One Hub Racing. Thank you for keeping this league going and showing your faith in us.
So, that was a very eventful race, wasn't it? Well, wasn't actually very eventful. It's quite a boring race.
Yeah, come on, man. It got a little stale in the final stint there, but the first 2 stints were quite decent, quite entertaining.
Very much so. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you next week for round 8.